6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this 4th of July, and Jim George is in the studio live. We weren't sure if that was going to happen today or not. It's a day off for a lot of people. I guess Jim's working. Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning. Yes, I am working.
Yeah. And
It's like us, always live.
I believe that Dan Martone was climbing our tower today. I think.
Oh, wonderful.
I saw a post on Facebook. I think Galen actually took the picture. I'm not sure about that.
Well, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to climb a tower when there's lightning available.
No. I don't even want to be outside when there's lightning available.
You know, lightning, you may not see a cloud in the sky. Like you could be a golfer, for instance. Beautiful day and get struck by lightning because lightning will travel 50 miles to get you.
50.
50
Wow.
miles.
Wow. Do you know there was an article this morning, or a photograph with a subtitle, really, that the new building, the Freedom Tower in New York that replaced the World Trade Center towers, it's still
Right.
called the World Trade Center, but got hit 17 times by lightning yesterday. 17 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if lightning can travel 50 miles, then that's nothing for that lightning to reach the ground once it hits the top of that building. 'Cause
Exactly.
The building is about maybe, it's not even a mile tall, right?
No.
Right.
3,000 feet is a mile, so it's 1,700 feet.
5,000.
1,776
5,000,
feet.
sorry.
Yeah, 5,280.
So 1,776 feet is the height of that
Yes.
building, right?
Right.
That's the whole idea.
Now, lightning is, that's why we talked about bonding and grounding so much in the last 2 weeks. Everybody's concerned. Last night, my power was out. It's out about at least 3 to 4 hours every 2 months. And I have complained because the street over from me is always on. And I said, why don't you just move me over to their grid? And the power company says, no, we can't do that. It takes all kind of engineering. And I said, I've been here 30 years, and I've been complaining for 30 years. You haven't had 30 years to figure out how to move one street over? But we're just heavily treed, and what happens is tree limbs fall on the power lines. And the rule of thumb is if your power goes out and then comes right back on, that's 1. If it goes out again and comes right back on, that's 2. The third time, it will not come back on. It resets itself.
Really?
After the third time, if it senses a short on the line, it trips itself permanently until a crew goes out there and figures out what's going on and set it. So if it's a total break, let's say a limb fell on the power line and broke it, then you're just off. But if there's a limb across a power line, hanging on it, the conductance of the cable changes, and when it changes, the sensors sense that, and they reset themselves. And normally they come right back on. But if it doesn't, then if the limb stays on there, then it will shut itself off.
Really? You know what I wanted to ask you about with regard to lightning in our appliances? We unplug things. Should we also be disconnecting the cable?
The possibility of lightning coming through your cable is very low compared to coming through your electric.
Why is that?
Because the cable companies notoriously ground outside your house. So when we bring the cable from the pole or underground to the side of your house, we put a ground block, and that grounds the outside of the sheath. So any spurious voltages that are onto that sheath of the cable, the outside bonding of it, go to ground. And then some of us smart guys put a coaxial lightning surge protector in, and that bonds the center conductor. So now you have the outside sheath grounded, you have the center conductor grounded, and chances are it won't get in. And we've seen instances where lightning has hit and blown the entire ground block off of your house. That's how,
Oh, my God.
Wow.
and yet your TV is still okay. But in some cases when the TV is not, it came in the power line.
All right, and you do have a phone call. By the way, Jim is live today on the 4th of July, in case you're thinking this might be a recorded show. Jim did come in the 4th of July. The number, if you want to be on the show, is 622-WOCA. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. Good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still having the problem where I can't hear you until you put me on the air.
Oh, okay. I apologize for that. But you're on the air now. Thank you.
Okay. Did you know your AM side is down?
Yeah, Dan is climbing the tower and needs it to be off in order to not get shocked.
That's right.
Okay. I just wondered if you know. And I like the cable guy, and I wanted to know if his business is up and running where I can get that a la carte cable.
Not as yet. We have about 25 channels up and running that we're using for an internal test bed We want to launch July 4th, but we didn't, so we'll launch probably first or second week in August. And then even that will be our beta test. We're already on our alpha test now. And then just about November, in time for you to get something for Christmas, we will announce on the radio that we are up and running.
Okay. Very well. I'll stay listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too, because everybody's looking forward to that. That is the big. I mean, you would think that everybody would be trying to sell this. It's just
that's the problem. It's really too big. We're trying to keep a low profile. We're trying to do a little beta test, and because there's a lot to be considered. The look and feel of the web, not the website, but the electronic programming guide. It's got to be very unique. It's got to be user friendly. You got to be able to surf it. You got to be able to add a channel or take away a channel. And sometimes it locks up. So then we go, okay, back to the programming. What did we do wrong?
Wow.
And because we want that when you get it, it's seamless. You change channels, you add channels, you take. For instance, you wanted to watch one channel only this week. That's all you wanted to watch was one channel. Then you could go online or through the electronic programming guide, click the one channel you want, and then 24 hours later, it goes off because you wanted it for one day.
Just one. The other day, I was passing a billboard, and one of the cable companies was advertising some kind of have TV for $79 a month. And I said, you got to be kidding. You think that's a great price? That is not a great price.
No.
I mean, I don't know what I don't have it at all. So therefore, I mean, I could understand maybe $25 a month, but why $80 to watch TV?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. But think about it. Let's assume your son came to visit with you and brought his child, and they want to watch Sesame Street.
I'd ask him, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Or Nickelodeon. They wanted to watch something. Right. You could do it for the 2 days or 3 days they were here. You could subscribe to it. When they leave, you cancel. I mean, what's more convenient than that?
Gosh.
That is ideal.
That is.
Because you don't want to get a whole package. You don't
everybody
want to
do
sign
this?
up
So
for it.
why is it not everywhere? I mean, this should be the way it is.
Because there's really no money in a la carte. In other words,
really,
some channels
everybody would be doing.
Some
it.
channels are free, like Lifetime, even Lifetime Movie Channel. It's really free to us. All the religious channels, TBN, Trinity Broadcasting, all of those, the church channel. They're all free to us.
To you they are.
Yeah, to us.
The company. Okay.
So what happens is if we bundle those, so we're giving you 30 channels, and only 5 of them we're paying for, and we charge you, let's say $1 a channel, $30. Imagine how much money there is in that because you're not paying anybody except for the first 5.
Okay.
Wow.
So, but in my case, if the Trinity Broadcasting was free to me, I might charge you 10 cents. Why? Because I still got an overhead in the back office to keep it running. But I'm not going to charge you $1 or $5 or $20 to watch one channel.
Well, you know what I think would make sense is if the companies, the broadcasting companies that want to see, here's the thing that I never understood. When there was this campaign back when I was a kid that said save free TV. All the movie theaters had these banners on them, save free TV, because there was this threat that pretty soon you're going to have to pay for TV, which of course came to fruition. Okay. Well, the promise was you're going to have to pay, but there will be no commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
There's commercials.
Oh, yeah.
So since we have commercials anyway, why don't they just put it back on the airwaves rather than on cable? Just do like the old school TV stations did. Just make money with your advertisements, not with your customer paying for it.
Right. Well, that's why there are more and more off-the-air channels now than ever before. We only have a 100-foot tower that we're working off of. We have availability for a 300-foot, but we haven't jumped on it. And on that 100-foot tower, we have about 22 stations we can pick up out of Ocala. Now, each of those stations has between 2, 3, or sometimes 4 channels on them. Mm-hmm. So let's assume it was an average of 2.5. So 2.5 channels times 22. That's like 50 channels I can offer you that are free. They're off the air.
Yeah.
Now, when I say free, I have to pay copyright fees. So those copyright fees will probably come to something like $1 a channel. So of the 20 channels, I'll pay $20. So I'd give them to you for $20.
All right, you have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. One of the other things that happened in the time since cable started to proliferate was planned communities where you weren't allowed to put an antenna on your roof.
Yes.
And in some of the planned communities, the planned community is the cable. So they kind of had a vested interest in keeping you from putting an antenna in your roof.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, but but back then it wasn't that expensive. When it first started out, it was money that nobody had to pay before. But it was like, what, $15? It wasn't that much.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was very cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, we took over
Nowadays, some cable systems, you could easily run into $100 a month.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Easy. Yep.
Yeah.
I have my antenna on the roof, and I'm watching Daniel Boone right now.
Now, you realize you can put an antenna inside your roof so it's not outside and still pick up about 20 stations.
Yeah, I don't care to duke it out with the spiders in my attic now.
You have a bigger problem than reception.
Have a good day.
Oh,
all.
thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the
Yeah,
call.
because the first box I had, it was a black box, and I hooked it up to the TV, and one side was all the regular channels on cable here in Ocala, and the other side you flipped it over to the left for HBO.
Yes.
And that's all that was there. It was just regular channels and then just flipping it over for HBO, and it's amazing how much it grew from that.
Yeah, that was a simple technology. They basically put HBO in what's called the mid-band, and so your little set-top converter was a mid-band converter, so you threw it to the right, and that was your channel 2, 3, 4, and then when you turned to the left, you really had things like channel 17, 18, 19, and they weren't numerically 7, they were mid-band channels, and it was a different frequency coming down, because your tuner in your set normally didn't pick up that frequency.
And
So-
is that what it is now with the different frequencies?
No,
through
now they
your
have them
cable system?
scrambled and they have them encapsulated, and in other words, the programmers really want to make sure their programming is secure. In other words, I can't give you anything unless I report it, and if I report it, then I'm going to have to pay for it. And like even a free channel, take for instance Lifetime, it's free to me, but I have to sign a contract with them. I have to tell them what I'm doing. I have to tell them what area I'm feeding. And that goes back to the Nelson report. They want to find out what their demographics are,
right.
those type of things. So there's a lot of paperwork even just to give it to you free. So when a person says, hey, it's free to you, how come you're charging me $1? You realize how much paperwork there is? And every month we have to report. So the beautiful part of our system is if you're watching Nickelodeon for 1 hour on Friday night, I know you are.
Oh.
The box tells me that at 8 o'clock on Friday, it was tuned to channel 22, let's say.
Really?
And that was Nickelodeon. Well, that gets reported to a server. And then the programmers hit the server to find out how many eyes did they have watching that program.
Really?
Gosh.
So, and then you divide that number by 2, and that's how many people.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching the Playboy channel, can I fool you to think I'm watching Nickelodeon? Because I'll be embarrassed if you find this out.
No.
Because I would never really watch that channel. But
Yeah.
if I wanted
Well,
to.
first of all, you'd have to subscribe to it. Then after you subscribe to it.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Because, look how many channels a person subscribes to on, let's say, Cox.
Right.
How many are they watching? The average person watches 7. A family watches 11. So if you have different age groups, you're looking
Right.
at about 11 channels you watch. But you're paying for about 125 to 200.
How many channels do
Yeah,
you
that's-
actually watch? What?
I watch about 7.
Really? And which is there one that you watch more than the others?
I usually watch Hallmark and local news more than anything. Because the Hallmark channel has a lot of movies on.
Yeah.
And they're very wholesome movies. And my wife and I just like to watch
Yeah.
movies that we don't have to
That makes sense.
turn them off and say, okay, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, that sounds like the way I'd be watching news. I hate the fact that I'm a news junkie, so I'd have to wean from it somehow. But
But people would still want to get your regular stations like 2, 6, and 9, and
Yes.
20 because they want to know what's going on in Orlando and Gainesville.
Exactly. And we just found out that we can pick up the Dunellen, and Dunellen channel is a repeater for Tampa. So now you can watch the Tampa channel.
Oh.
yeah, that's great. Good morning. You're on there with Jim George.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Hey, Hugh.
So Dan's up the tower. Are you trying to get a good spot to watch the fireworks tonight?
You know, I'm not.
Someone ought to turn the juice on and see if he can fly higher than his airplane.
Oh, no, thank you.
Well, he's tweaking. You know, the other day was the 4th anniversary of the Martones buying the station, and
July 1st.
July 1st, and it's just amazing that what they do. I mean, they're so dedicated to it. It's refreshing because, quite frankly, the management here was awesome, but the ownership, you know, was they weren't really that interested in it. So
Right.
I'd like to ask a question again about lightning. Around the noon hour every day, 1 o'clock, well, it's noon in Chicago, I watch WGN, and they've had a lot of heavy weather up there, and they had some beautiful pictures of the Willis Tower getting struck by lightning, the tower part on top of the 102-story building. And they were talking about how the charge is directed to the ground, but, you know, you're talking about probably 110 floors away from the ground to the top of that tower. How did they ground that? I mean, they run that outside the building or through the elevator shafts, and wouldn't it kind of displace itself by the time it got to the ground?
No, it's going to seek its ground, so it's going to be heading down to the earth, and they ground to the steel structure of the building. And the steel structure is not only bolted, but it's also welded because they don't trust loose bolts, because it's got to have a direct path to ground. And every 3 floors, they put in what's called a ground equalizer. And what that does is that senses that the ground is in fact intact. So it's not a smart device in the sense that it's going to call you up and say, "Hey, I have a bad ground here or there," but the maintenance people check them often to see how how they're doing. But just think about it being a huge wire, about 2 inches in diameter, from the top all the way to the bottom, braided, in other words, stranded, and then covered in a jacket. So from the very top all the way to the bottom, there's this copper wire, but it's also bolted every 3 floors to the metal frame.
If you could look at this wire as it's being struck by lightning, would you see like a light charge going through it, or you wouldn't see nothing?
You probably wouldn't see anything during it unless the lights were totally off. If the lights were totally off in like a meter room, you would see the arc. And as a matter of fact, I was in my car this morning looking at a magazine in the parking lot before coming in, and it showed a piece of wire against a concrete wall, and you could see the spider web of the lightning as it jumped in, trying to hit the steel inside the concrete, the spider web it made on it.
Wow.
I'll bring that in and leave it here at the WOCA office because it's a very interesting picture.
There'd be no way of grounding that lightning bolt way up on top up there, huh?
Well, you got to go to earth ground. Think about it. You got to go to earth.
no choice.
And you got to go
thank
deep.
you, guys.
All right.
Can't have midway. And that's what always confuses me because I don't know electricity like you do. But how do they ground things in an airplane where they're not even touching the ground?
Well, everything's bonded together, and they call it a floating ground. Ships have a floating ground.
So that couldn't happen in a tall building? They couldn't have a floating ground?
You could have a floating ground, which means that the building itself is isolated from the earth. But when lightning hit, it has to dissipate. And so what they would do in that case is they would put little sharp fins. Remember how when an umbrella gets stripped of all of its cloth and you see these little fins, little spider webs coming out?
Right.
They could do that. That's called an array. And that would dissipate the lightning. So lightning would hit, and then it would dissipate off of that. But floating grounds can be quite dangerous because if you're not bonded real well, if one person touching a light switch and then touches a metal frame of a building, wow, they would be the ground, you see, so.
So is each business here in the Paddock Mall, do they each have their own individual ground?
Yes and no. Outside where the meters are, where the power comes in, each of the meters are grounded individually. Or there's a common ground.
That you?
Yes, me, called a UFER. And what a UFER is when they put in all the steel in the concrete, all the rebarbs, they weld them together, and then they bring various ones outside. So you not only go to earth ground, but you ground to the UFER. And that way, if you're standing on concrete and it's wet and you're touching a piece of metal, it's not going to go, because concrete's not a very good insulator.
Oh, it's not?
No, especially if it's wet. It's very porous.
Yeah, it seems like it would be, yeah.
That's right.
I mean, if you were on, if it's not sealed, you would see water dripping, like a parking garage. So,
Yeah, right. You see that all the time. This is one thing I remember with fireworks and TV is you remember in the Disney attraction called Carousel of Progress. It was the last one. It was the last scene that they show you, and it's New Year's Eve, and there's this wonderfully modern living room, and the kids are watching fireworks on the TV. It was New Year's fireworks, not 4th of July fireworks, but. That's what people might do tonight.
Yes.
I mean, more people. I wonder how many people actually watch fireworks on TV.
Yeah, a lot.
It's kind of funny, huh?
Yeah. When we were younger, we'd take the kids down there. Now that the kids are all grown and left, we watch it on TV.
Yeah, why not?
We'll let the other families have the opportunity to park and enjoy the park,
That's
go
right.
and enjoy themselves. After we worked in the yard, let's say it's on a Saturday or whatever day it falls on, or if I come home from work, or like July 4th, for instance, most people are off of work. What happens is if you give your employees off July 4th, someone has to be on call. It usually falls back to the owner.
Yeah, right.
How many people actually currently subscribe to American cable services?
Right now, we have about 500.
500. And so do you sell advertising that only reaches those 500? Like if a
Yes.
small company, where would that be? Like on top of the world?
Well, Ocala Palms.
Ocala Palms, okay. So is there like a store near there that, I mean, who?
Well, for instance, we have one person that does tree trimming.
Right.
And they advertise.
Okay.
And we charge $1 a day.
$1 a day.
$1 a day.
So 500
Wow.
people get to see your ad on TV. And how much to produce the ad itself?
Nothing.
You produce it what? With like a handheld?
Well, they give it to me. It's a digital.
Oh, you just have make sure they produce their own
they
TV
might
commercial?
they give me a 1-minute device, or they give me an alphanumeric. In other words, call Jason's tree service at 506, whatever the number
I
is.
got you. So there's like a
character generator type thing.
Wow.
We have 3 advertisers. We're not there for advertising, but it's our channel, and our channel is the information we want to give out to the people. Ocala Palms has its own channel for the information they want to give out to the people.
Okay.
But talking about the planned unit developments, which is gated community, when we took over, they had a cable system that had 12 channels, and they paid $18.91 for those 12 channels. We made it 21 channels. That was 3 years ago, and still $18.91. So we almost doubled the number of channels. They had 76 channels total. We have 96 channels now. Never increased the price.
$18.
$18 for the first 21.
Oh, okay.
And a total, if you want everything, I think it's about $57.
Wow. That's amazing.
And we offer high-speed internet, which is like $24. And we offer telephone, which is $24. So if you have everything, it's $99. So you get almost 100 channels, unlimited phone, and high-speed internet for $99.
Gosh, that is incredible.
Yeah, and we want to reduce it. And the only way to reduce it is to go digital, which is what we're doing. So
And you
now,
get more subscribers.
yeah, we want the people to have a choice, and they want a choice. Think about the number of people that would scream they have a choice.
Yeah.
So we're offering it to Ocala Palms first. We've made other contacts with other developments, like on top of the world, and there's a possibility we could get in there, like Pine Run, Oak Run.
So as political season gets closer, you're going to raise your rates so that those politicians don't get a dollar ad?
Nope, dollar ad.
All right.
And that's a 1-minute ad.
Jim, how do we get a hold of you?
854-9795.
Well, you have a great 4th of
thank
July
you. You too.
and a great weekend. Thank you for coming in as you do, and it was good to see you today on a holiday.
Same here. Thank you.
Really.
All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Science. I can smell the chemicals.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Hurricane Arthur pulling offshore, expected to churn toward the north.